understand the behavior of the void using a analytical model and experimental studies. As you can see here, the void is as small as 600 microns. Even we produced as small as 300 micron voids. Hello, sir.
Yeah, it's going on smoothly. Yes.
Going smooth. Okay, sorry, I was hearing my own voice. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So so the void, as you can see, we even produce as small as 300 micron. That is just to study the behavior and density of the void effect on the piezoelectric property of these materials. So all this, till now we are just talking about different polymer, and I was always telling that we are trapping the charges here. Like the one question is, how can we trap the charges in this void? So one way, which is traditional way, is once there is a void, we know that there is air in it, right? There is some kind of an air molecules there. So the easy way is to break down the air molecules and then you convert them into positive and negative charges by applying the potential. So there are several ways people have approached. The traditional way is, it's called as corona charging method. So corona charging method is, as you have the voids, you have the steel, like a very small diameter of the steel. You apply a very high voltage for a very small time. You're going to break down the molecules. It converts into positive and negative charges. So all these charges are going to get trapped here on the positive, because you're also applying a reverse potential on the ground. So this is the well-known method, and this is what is used in many of the applications. But again, the problem is here, you need a very sharp tip, and then with several uses, the tip is going to kind of an burn, and then the tip is not sharp as it is before, right? So also you need a high voltage. So as I was telling, the sustainable electronics is not about just selecting the material, it is also about selecting the process you are going to make it, because there is also many of these processes are power hungry, right? So in that way, to trap the charges, including this high voltage power supply, so one of the approach we produced in our work, or we showed it, is something called as pyroelectric charging approach. What does this pyroelectric say here? The pyro, again, is similar to piezo, right? But instead of force, here we are applying sir, I'm getting some background noise.
Yeah, correct. Please, all of you, those who are this one, please mute yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry about the. So, like pyroelectric is basically wherever there is a change in the temperature, right? Pyro is related to temperature, and then this pyroelectric crystal, the one we selected, is something like lithium niobate and lithium tantalate. Whenever there is a change in the temperature, it produces very high potential on the polarized surfaces. As you can see, this is the pyroelectric crystal. I'm changing the temperature on the positive one polarized surface. It is going to generate very high electric field, very high surface potential, and the other surface is going to produce the negative of it, like opposite surface potential. So across the crystal, we are going to generate very high electric field because of just by changing the temperature. As you can see, this is the equation. The surface potential depending on the delta T, the dielectric constant, the pyroelectric coefficient of the material, and the thickness of the crystal. Right? Using this crystal, what we did, as you can see, this is the crystal, and this is where we placed our FEP, fluorinated ethylene polymer, with the voids. Because as it is generating very high electric field, we know that there is a air molecules in these voids which we have created. We are kind of trying to break down those void, right? Air molecules in the void, and we are generating positive and negative charges. So that's how we kind of able to trap the positive and negative charges. Means we are kind of trying to create a dipole in these voids by applying just a very small temperature. The way we did is, the temperature we applied is like 3 to 4 degree, but the surface potential generated is in the range of tens of kilovolts, very high surface potential. Even we use this to break down the air molecule around it, as one of the example is for ionization source for a mass spectrometer. Right? We built this full instrumentation. As you can see here, it's a pyroelectric charging system to trap the charges on this ferroelectric material. Going forward, of course, we compared the corona charging method in the similar devices. We also compared our pyroelectric charging method, as both results shows like a very kind of repeatable results for several samples, even for several forces we applied. the corona charging, and then the after charging and before charging, the pyroelectric charging work, what we built before and after charging. And the temperature, as I said, the delta T, the dt by dt we applied is very, very low temperature. It's like 15 degrees, the ramp duration 15 seconds, and the temperature, the minimum temperature is 10 degree. The maximum temperature we achieved is 25, from 10 to 25, 10 to 40, and 10 to 70. The temperature variation is also 15 is still, I would say, very high. Even we have a results which are produced like 8 degree and 10 degree of temperature variations. So it's a low temperature charge trapping method in the voids on the piezoelectric systems. Going forward, to optimize the piezoelectric charge trapping approach, we also did it like this is the example which I wanted to show. As you can see, the temperature, the where we started for the pyroelectric crystal, it is at room temperature, like 25 degree in a AC room, right? And then we are increasing the temperature like 26, 27, and 30. You see the surface charges. This is the surface charge we measured using a non-contact measurement tool. So it's like 3 kilovolts. Just for a change in a temperature of 3 degree, we are able to produce 3 kilovolts. So as we are increasing the temperature like 4 and 5 degree, it start reducing because we are doing this experiment in an ambient environment. All the molecules start break down. So the surface, because you're kind of measuring the surface potential, I'm measuring in a non-contact. As the temperature increases, surface potential is very high. There are molecules here, they want to break down. So the surface potential is going down, right? Similarly, so for both, we also measured it for different thickness of the spacer. Like I said, we are making a void, the smaller void and the bigger void, as small as 150 micron void, as big as 440 micron void. Wow, the piezoelectric coefficient, this is the D33 of the measured device in picocoulombs per Newton. Similarly, we also did for different temperature. What happens if I do only one temperature in one way, like 25 to 33 degree, or if I do a full cycle, like doing it from 25 to 33 and also other way around, that is, does it affect anything on the D33 parameter we measured? So there's no much difference between the thing. So most of these results have been published in a journal, so I can give a link, like if people are interested, they can go back and check. So we also did, like I said, to understand the void dimension, like effect of the void and the piezoelectric coefficient on the D33, we able to measure, we able to fabricated the device using a laser patterned void creation, and we able to measure like voids as small as 0.4 millimeter to 1.5 millimeter. As you can see, 0.4 millimeter is much higher piezoelectric coefficient because the density of the void what we have created is much more than the bigger voids. The number of voids you see is much more higher. That the charge density which is kind of stored in a smaller voids in the same area of the device is much more than the charge density in this particular device. Right? With this, we are able to show that the smaller the dimension of the device, we are able to get a more sensitive devices. So depending on the application, by tuning the void dimension, we are able to design the piezoelectric coefficient of the device in such a way it will be used either to detect a very sensitive pressure or the mediocratic pressure or the very high pressure. The same device, by tuning the fabrication method, we can able to make it to sense different levels of the pressure. So again, it's the same thing. We're able to measure different parameters like alpha, beta, and the pitch, and we're able to understand how the piezoelectric coefficient, particularly the D33, is going to vary on the device performance. So one is, of course, the normally people do a static measurement, which is very easy. Like you're able to do the static, you put the piezoelectric, you start keeping the weight on top of it, and you measure the charge generation, right? And also we did the cycling group. This is the charge generation, and this is the D33 of this one. We also did a dynamic measurement. So we used a dynamic actuator. This is the sensor at different frequency, how it responds at low frequency and high frequency, and then how the D33 will vary. So we're able to show that the whatever the D33 we generated and the sensor is able to work as high as 80 hertz megahertz. So not just the low frequency, but it can also be used at high frequency as small as close to 800 or 1 kilohertz. Because particularly if you're using this wearable sensor, not for humans, but the wearable can be for machine also. So we can think like wearable sensors for the machine. There's a machine vibration which you want to measure, kind of a predictive maintenance of the machines, of industrial tools and stuff like that, where the frequency is much higher than 100 hertz. Though there can also be used some of these devices, sustainable sensors. So we also wanted to know how the stability of this sensors depending on the different temperature and different humidity. As you can see, the temperature is going from like 30 to 70 degree. The sensor response is quite repeatable with a change of 20%, and then at humidity not much variation. But one of the problem we faced in our research is with respect to the stability of the device over the time. Like I said, this is the device where you will be using a charge trapping on the insulating material. The charges on the surface, right? Look, with eventually exposed to the ambient, there is a good chance that the charges are going to degrade because of the weight used and the number of times we use it and stuff like that. Because of there are positive and negative charges which are very close, there may be a connection between them. So there are people who have solved so there are reports which says that the same sensor can be used for more than 12 months with the repeatable results and all, but definitely there is a promising results in this area to go forward and produce long lasting devices. Having said that, like I would take into a few of the applications we have done using these piezoelectric devices which we have produced. So one of the application is tactile sensing. Like tactile sensing is something like I want to measure what is the surface roughness, right? I suppose I have a bottle here. I want to measure how smooth the surface is. I have a table. I want to measure a wall. I want to measure what is the surface. Particularly, there are a lot of these devices, whatever we see in the online, it's difficult to touch, right? We can just able to see this is a textile is available online or Amazon or Flipkart. I don't know what is the surface roughness of it. Even for industrial, there's a lot of industrial application. The one example is easy example is I want to know how the cloth which I'm seeing online. So you can imagine something like a surface which has been produced here, which is kind of given to the customer. Just by touching the surface, he able to feel that what is he seeing on the internet, right? So what is the surface texture it look like. Similarly, it is like a self-powered like a tactile measurement device. As you can see, some of our devices here which have a roughness of 0.4 millimeter, roughness of point, like you can imagine roughness is something like a like something like this, like a wave, right? It's going on top of this is a roughness like 0.4 millimeter, 0.6 and 0.8 millimeter. So if the way I scan it, the way I touch it is also important. So you're able to generate like a different responses from it. So this is a self-powered device. You don't need any battery or anything. It's completely self-powered. Just by touching, you're able to tell what is the roughness of the material. It's one of the application. Of course, you can use it for like a wearable application in industrial, like it can be used in robotic application. How the robotic arm is moving up, down, straight, left. It's completely self-powered. You just put it on top of it. The walking and all the steps can be measured, right? This is the one easy application. Using the similar sensor, this is one of our student. So able to measure the heart rate, like 84 BP beats per minute. Similarly, it is in a rest position. He's in the lab for like 1 hour, he's sitting doing his work and he measured it. After jumping for 2 minutes, as you can see, of course, our heart rate will go up, right? So it reached to 96 beats per minute, BPM. So it's one of the another application we showed using our self-powered piezoelectric devices. Like gate analysis, I already showed how the foot pressure distribution. These are all flexible devices. The polymer, very thin in nature, can be integrated into the shoes and slippers, where the continuous data acquisition can be done. The foot pressure distribution, which is important in several applications, including diabetes patient who have a foot ulcer and chronic ulcer and stuff like that. So another application, we also try to measure the blood flow velocity by measuring the heart rate in two different places. We have a one sensor here and another sensor here. Both sensors are continuously measuring the heart rate. By just knowing the delay here, like it's called as Pulsatile femoral PWM, pulse wave velocity, is the gold standard for assessing arterial stiffnesses. If you want to know how stiff is our artery, instead of measuring one heart rate, we need to measure heart rate in two places. So by knowing the delay in the heart rate, the delay in the signal which we are producing, the time-dependent signal, we are able to produce what is the arterial stiffnesses. Typically in the healthy kind of a patient, it will be around 10 meter per second. So we measured one of the result using a healthy patient, of course, the student. So it shows that the results are repeatable, and the device can be used in applications as interesting as this. I think so. We'll take a question in the end, I believe, sir.
Yes. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you
now
can go
switch.
another some 10-15 minutes. You can have it. 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah. So I'll switch the topic now a little bit.
Yeah, fine.
So now we talked about the piezo electret and the self-powering, how to choose the material. Particularly, it has to be hydrophobic and trap the charges, and how to trap the charges, like corona discharge, or the way we developed the pyroelectric charging. And it is a flexible device. It's a self-powered device, right? And it can be used in several applications, including the tactile measurement, heart rate measurement, and also the gate analysis and stuff like that. So we talked about it till now. Now we are changing a topic to another interesting topic. It's called as printed electronics, right? Or printed sensors. So as we all know, like why basically we need a printed electronics. There is the other approaches, like normally the alternative is a clean room microfabrication. You take the silicon, you remove the silicon you don't want, and you deposit the material, you dope it and do it, right? So it's not kind of an interesting. Particularly, there is a lot of research going on in last 2 decades on the novel materials. But considering even 2D materials, right? The 2D materials and quantum materials and stuff like there's a lot of research going on, and all these materials are coming up with a very interesting property. So there is still a very rigid acceptability issue in the semiconductor industry. It's not easy to accept any new material unless it is scalable and then it is compatible with the clean room, because it's already well established from last 30 years, right? So the alternative is to produce printed devices. So it's kind of a very low cost one is, and then very easy to adopt or try any new material as a sensing device or an electronic device or something like that, right? So we all know about the inkjet printer we use every day to print like any documents or something like that, right? So people have used definitely the inkjet printers to print the sensors and stuff like that. It's very straightforward. Instead of the cartridges, you all know, instead of having a cartridge with the black ink, you just fill the cartridge with the ink, which is functional ink. Normally it's called it can be a piezoelectric ink, metallic ink, dielectric ink. So you can print layer by layer, or depending on the device requirement. So you're going to get the sensor and electronics on top of it, right? It's very straightforward. So what we did, like what is the limitation of this one, right? So one of the limitation is, of course, the nozzles are very small, right? And then ink viscosity or the ink surface tension should match with the whatever the inkjet printer can take it. Like it is almost like a water. But what happens, many of these functional inks, they are depending on these nanomaterials, right? So if I want to take a carbon nanotubes or like a carbon nanoparticles or a graphene, right? I want to print a graphene. Graphene always have a flake, right? And then the dimension of the flake can vary the way you manufacture it or the way I produce the graphene. In that way, so it's not very compatible to use existing inkjet printer. So what we did in one of our projects, so we able to redesign the complete print head, and we even 3D printed the complete print head. This is the process. As you can see, this is the actuator. We use the piezoelectric actuator. We produce the microchannels. We produce the pressure chambers. We produce the nozzle, and then we able to assemble it in such a way it can be used to print the functional inks which have a different viscosity and different surface tension. This is the complete fabrication process. We 3D printed the membrane. As you can see, it's as small as 100 micron membrane, which is completely 3D printed, and the membrane is going to vibrate. Whenever I put a piezoelectric on top of it, it's going to vibrate and it's going to generate the drop from there. And this is the nozzle of it. And this is the complete setup and the assembly of the final prototype here. And also we build the required electronics, because like I said, so once you have the device, you need to calibrate it or you need to actuate it. As it is printing, we able to hack one of our printer, which is in-house. We able to generate and observe the drops for different voltages and the different condition of the ink we were printing. Something similar to this. This is a complete setup, which is in-house built print head and assembled, and the voltage pulses are applied to the piezoelectric material. As you can see, with respect to different time, how the drop generation is happening. Also, if I want to print a viscosity, normally what happens in current inkjet printer, the viscosity should be less than 10 cp, like 7, 8 cp or 5 cp. These viscosities are very good to generate the drops. Where we redesign the print head, we able to print viscosities as big as 60 cp. In this way, we able to accommodate more functional inks, even nanomaterial based inks, and be able to print different sensors from here. Something similar, we have also calibrate at how the printing stage works, how the stage speed able to control the way we print the line, how the thickness of the line which we printed using our printed um, is varying and stuff like that. And be able to, of course, print the prototype of a kind of an capacitive sensor to measure the touch. So basically, initially the capacitance when we are not touching it is 2.3 picofarad. When somebody is touching, like when I bring my fingers very close, like it's a proximity sensor. I'm not even touching; it's very close to the sensor. The capacitance is changing because of the field lines between the body and the capacitor sensor we fabricated. Using a carbon inks, using a graphene ink, we able to produce the strain sensor. Using the strain sensor, we also able to measure the art rate. As you can see, the printed sensor on a textile using a nickel contact, it's kind of an up to 1000 cycles, 3% strain. The results are very repetitive. The sensor failure test has been happened after several uniaxial stress applied, much more than 3% of the strain. So we able to print humidity sensors out of it. This is a carbon nano onions, you can say, like one of our collaborator. We also worked on silver nanoparticles. CNO is a carbon nano onion test structures for temperature and humidity sensors. So we able to design, develop our own print head to print the high viscous fluids and nanomaterial based inks, and then be able to realize different sensors out of it, right? That is the second. Additive manufacturing is open up a new research avenue to explore new materials and develop and prototype them in a device and even system level. So it kind of it's very nice, and definitely there is a huge opportunity to scaling up. Already many applications like LEDs and solar cells, flexible solar cells, people are exploring new materials using when you want to scale, there's something called as roll-to-roll manufacturing. So you take a roll of flexible material, it prints everything, and the final roll will come in the end, right? So there is a way to produce all this. So a few of the other research topics I briefly touched today. So other than these two main research topics where I worked in the last 3-4 years, the other one where I started my PhD at University of Science Bangalore, it's on the microneedle and micropump for drug delivery application. This was my PhD topic. So of course, these devices I produced in Portugal, but the devices which I did in ISC, they are mostly about a micro fabricated in a clean room. They're silicon based, micro needles for the drug delivery. We did the micro needle, we made the micro pump, we integrated both of them. We even tested for the insulin delivery and the preclinical studies on the rat modules. And one of the work which I left, and one of my junior continued, and then later on he continued to work on micro needle for after 3-4 years, even after my graduation. And currently he built a startup in Bangalore, and they're doing quite well. So, and then after that, when I was in Portugal, interestingly, we kind of collaborated with one company, a Portuguese company. They are developing bacteriophages for the diabetic wound. These needles were developed in collaboration with industry. Instead of fabricating a micro needle in clean room, right? It's like a 10 years back. After 10 years, the 3D printers in the market are so sophisticated, so you can able to 3D print micro needle. So that's what we did here. The micro needles has sharp as 30 microns in the tip, as long as 900 microns. So we able to fabricate like 25 to 30 micron tip micro needle using 3D printer. And then we able to make a mold out of it. And then we used completely dissolvable polymers like PVA, and then we incorporated their bacteriophages in our micro needle, and then we able to deliver the bacteriophages into the chronic wounds. So that's one of the work. And then when I was in Cornell University, so we were working on miniature particle accelerator for several applications. So where my contribution as on the building electrostatic quadrupole. This is a complete silicon device. As you can see, there is a hole and there are 4 electrodes. So you can apply positive, negative, and positive, negative, something like this. As you can see, positive, negative, and positive, negative. You're able to generate an electric field which is 0 in the middle, and electric field eventually increases on both directions. If you apply only positive, positive, and negative, negative, if it is a center beam, you're going to, it's a charged argon beam, you're going to shape the beam in this fashion. As you can see, it's initially a round beam. If I apply positive bias, it's going to change. A positive means positive, positive, negative, negative. The beam is turning in this direction. If I reverse the potential like positive, positive, negative, negative, the beam is turning in the other direction. If I put these two like A2 and A3, electrostatic quadrupoles next to each other, I'm going to get the round beam back. So it means whenever in the accelerator, the beam is kind of moving for very long distance, right? You're kind of accelerating the beam in several stages. When you are accelerating the beam in several stages, you need to focus it also. Otherwise, the beam is going to get diverged and then you're going to lose a lot of beam energy. So this electrostatic quadrupoles, which are completely fabricated on a silicon. The advantage here is instead of single beam, what we did, it's a split beam. As you can see, by taking advantage of microfabrication, you can do several beams in a single wafer. Hundreds of beams can be fabricated. So you are accelerating all 100 beams at the same time. It means if you want to, I want to focus and accelerate a single beam, it's very, very tricky. You end up losing a lot of energy because it's a single beam which has a higher energy. Instead of that, if you can able to put it like small holes and accelerate them individually and merge them in the end, several applications can be created as like, of course, there's one is the interesting applications. We're working on neutron generations. Of course, fusion was the bigger application. Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, where I also collaborated and tested all these devices. They were interested, but this can be also used in several microfabrication, related applications. You can think of like ion beam, etching of a silicon material by controlling individual beams. I can able to generate very interesting patterns on the silicon. Right, so there's several applications. One is the focusing stage, right? As you can see, there are two stages here. One is purple and another is blue. The blue is a focusing stage. The purple and this one is the acceleration stage. That is this one. So if you want to accelerate the beam, why you want to accelerate the beam? You need to have a beam with some certain energy in the end of the accelerator. Then only be able to realize a interesting application, right? So it's very difficult to accelerate, particularly at the RF, at the high frequency. So there is always a different stages. That's why all these accelerators are very, very, very big, right? If you think about the sun, it's very big for a reason that you cannot accelerate it at one time. And also the linear accelerators are also developed in stages, means you have to focus, accelerate. So that's how you're going to do. But instead of applying what we did here, if I want to accelerate, it's basically a voltage. So whatever the voltage I give, if I give a 10 volts, the beam will get 10 volts of energy, like 10 EV or whatever. So instead of applying a 10 volts directly, right, like one is getting at high frequency is very difficult. We developed something called as resonators. It's RF resonators, RC resonators. What does it mean? If I apply 10 voltage, the quality factor of the resonator is Q. So if I apply 1 volt, the output of the resonator is 10 volt because my quality factor is 10. If I apply 10 volts, the output is 100 volts. If I apply 100 volts, the output is 1000 volts. So basically, it multiplies the acceleration voltage. The resonators we built, they were having around 25 to 30 of quality factor. Just being 1 volt at RF frequency, we are able to generate as high as 30 volts at RF frequency. In this way, the beam is getting accelerated. It's a kind of, we are generating this amplification in the accelerating stage itself. Means your external power supplies can be miniaturized. The total size of the accelerator can be miniaturized or reduced because the power supplies are less. The number of power supplies and the voltage they are generating are also less. So having said that, of course, this is not work done by only from me, and this is a team and the collaborators. I worked, I have Professor K. Rajanna, my PhD supervisor, Professor N.S. Dinesh, and Professor M.M. Nayak are also my PhD supervisors at Indian Institute of Science. And I work with Professor Amit Lal at Cornell University. Of course, it's all their effort and guidance I able to present this work to you today. When I was in Portugal, I get a chance to build my own team. I had 2 postdocs, PhD student and another research associate and postdoc. So it's a collaborative work and whatever I have done till now. So also very nice collaborator when I was in Portugal from different departments, able to know a lot of brainstorming and producing these results and publication. So that all these people helped me to present in front of you guys today. Thank you so much for listening, and then look forward to the discussions.
Yeah, very good, Dr. Vinay. Fantastic. Yeah. Now I think the platform is now open for any clarifications and discussions, comments.
Sir, I would like to ask one question.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Vinay Kumar, for such a nice and informative presentation. You have shown so many proof of concept sensor device. and you have developed together with our integration of 3D printing technology or a technique for developing your work. Just let me introduce about myself. I am working on, as a center head or director at Center for Materials for Electronics Technology, CMED Pune. Yeah. So in the year 2011, we have developed an inkjet printed polyaniline based, sensor. So just I have a small question that what's about you have shown in graphene based ink for developing this pressure sensor device or tactile sensor in particular. So what was the viscosity that you have monitored so that it will get printed through the printer heads, inkjet printer? Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. Nice to meet you. Actually, first of all, it's good to know that. So you worked in a similar area.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I think graphene based pressure sensors. It's possible, sir. People have developed, like I showed.
Yeah.
Even we did a strain sensor. Definitely, it's possible. People have done it. And then printing the result I showed, the printed graphene on the textile, which is really printed using our sensor, using the printed we
Okay.
developed. Actually, even in
Yeah.
Bits Goa, we have recently have a printer which is kind of a dispensing printer, but we can able to realize as small features as 100 microns and 200 microns. So definitely we able to print these ink based graphene based sensors using our printer what we have at Bits Goa also. It's possible, sir. Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Let's
Very
go
good.
ahead.
So this, yeah, based polyaniline based ink, I have published this work in, this smart material and structure in the year 2011 IOP based journal. Later on, I have made a nano composite with carbon nanotube also, and that work we have published as a PS sensor in sensor and actuator journals. Yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
now at our center, my colleagues they are actively working on this 3D printed optical sensor devices and so many steps out of it. So we'll see how we can collaborate and whenever it happens to that you will be in Pune or
Yeah.
Mumbai or near Pune, please let me know. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
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 Thank
That's
you.
about
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah.
yes, yes. And thank you for such a nice and informative your talk or presentation.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so
Yeah,
much.
same here, sir. Please let us know when you're around Goa. Happy to catch up with you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
I
Thank
think
you.
Dr. Upadhyay has something to ask. Dr. Upadhyay? Dr. Upadhyay has raised a hand. If not, please others can go ahead. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, Dr. Vinay Kumar.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful presentation. Okay.
Thank you.
So basically, I'm a pure chemistry person. So it's some kind of knowledge I could gather about the piezo electrets, right? So this you talked about the wearables like smartwatch, right?
Yeah.
No, how basically that watch will be calibrated. For example, you're measuring the heart rate or BP and etc. How exactly it will be calibrated? What is the accuracy of the data?
Correct. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you for the question, sir. Yeah, the way we did recently, we published one journal in biomedical optics together with one of our collaborator from Israel. So what we did, we send our devices, whatever we have fabricated, the piezoelectric devices, to measure the heart rate and to measure the respiratory rate also. And also similarly, what they built, we had a collaborative project with them. So they have built this optical based heart rate measurement. The similarly like whatever PPG kind of a thing by using a near infrared optics, you able to generate. You able to measure the heart rate and you also able to measure the respiratory rate. So we combined both our device, whatever we did using piezoelectret, what they did using optics, and then we use the standard commercial device which is available, which is kind of already calibrated. We put all three of our devices continuously on a person, and then we able to measure and we able to measure the accuracy and the whatever the repeatability of the sensor, and then whatever the calibration of the sensor. Yeah, this is what we did, and then results were quite interesting, and we have very repeatable results whatever we produced. Yeah.
Okay, just I want to add one more question. That it means now that watch, whatever I use the smartwatch, how long it is that validity is there?
So the smart watch you're telling, the one we are trying to build here.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yours are it's available. Commercially, it's also available.
Okay.
So the data, how many years or how many months it is reliable?
So the data is okay, sir. Nowadays there are a lot of smartwatches. As you can see, depending on the company, they propose ours is better, and then now there are rings also. Rings are better. They're telling.
Yeah.
So end of the day, what I understood, I may not be completely correct. So the thing is, they are generating data. That's for sure. And then they continuously, even it's a month or 1 month or 1 year, they're generating data repeatability. So they're generating. But the thing is, how accurately they are producing is the issue compared to the clinical data. So what I mean is clinical data. Let's assume I have a ECG. I have an electrode, and then I have a ECG. I'm measuring my heart rate. So of course that is going to give much better and more accurate data compared to the smartwatch data. The difference I don't know exactly how much, but definitely this is more than 15% of error compared to ECG data, which is clinically acceptable compared to the smartwatch data. I think we lost Christopher.
Yeah, okay. I think now Dr. Neeta Thakkar, madam.
Yes. Thank you, Vinay, for such an interesting lecture. I have two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
You have explained about the use of the piezoelectric materials in wearable and many other devices. My two questions are: what is the life of this material which is used in case of the wearable and many other things? And the second is this: how about the mechanism? You see, in case of the diabetes sugar level, we have a glucose, and then definitely it's a chemical. And in case of the heartbeat and some other blood pressure like that, so what is the mechanism involved, whether it is electronic current or how it is done so to get the output results?
Right. Yeah, ma'am. So first, I'll start with the second question. The mechanism here, particularly the whatever the heart rate we measured here, it is a pure mechanical signal. Like if I put my finger here, we are going to feel the pulse, right? So we will be measuring that pulses because this device is very sensitive. We are just putting it there, or we are just putting it here. We are purely measuring the mechanical pulses. As I said, the D33, the piezoelectric coefficient of these devices is much higher than the traditional PZT devices. So it is very sensitive device. We can make it sensitive by doing by optimizing the void density, like I showed. So it is purely measuring. That is the mechanism, like the comparison, if I want to say. And then similarly on the life of these devices, like I said, the devices what we produced, they were stable up to 60 days. So, but after 60 days, they are still there, but the sensitivity we saw that it is decreasing. But there are devices in the literature, people have showed using different materials and different approaches, they showed up to 12 months, up to 365 days, they are very stable. So that is the one way. So we also published another paper in a transducers conference, one of the top conferences in the sensors and transducers. So what we propose there, because this is a wearable thing, all the wearables we need to charge, right? Without charging, it will not work. What we proposed is to recharge. Like end of the day, we are producing the dipoles in the voids, right? The dipoles are going away. So what we proposed, if you can able to charge this device once in 30 days, you're able to measure it as small as possible, and then the life will be very long.
So you need to have a calibration of this timely, is it?
That's correct. Yeah. What you're telling is correct. But you need to have a calibration if you want to know exact pressure. But particularly if I take about heart rate, I don't need a calibration. End of the day, it's just the pulse. I don't want to know the pulse, but I need to make sure that I'm breathing, right? So in this way, we don't need, madam. Yeah.
One more thing, many of the times we have seen the blood pressure measured with the electronic device and the barometer-based instrument. There are always a difference sometimes. I don't know how come it is.
It's always, I agree with you, madam. That is correct, actually. There's always a variation for that one.
You can comment. Why so?
That's a very good question. I think the one way is basically the pressure at which it measures. The electronic device, whatever they put it, and then it's a machine thing. No, you enter the number and then this one. The sensor used it's an electronic pressure sensor. The way the pressure sensor works, it's like a membrane. So you have a piezoresistive sensor. The membrane is going to deflect, and then you measure the resistance change because of the pressure. So when there is a membrane change, there is always a drift. The temperature can drift. Also, this is a piezoresistor. There is a change in the room of the temperature. Suppose one day you are measuring in a room which don't have AC. The temperature is 29 degree, 30 degree.
Ambient effect.
Temperature effect and the drift effect. This is the membrane. So very, very thin membrane. There is a chance that the previous measurement, the membrane not have settled completely. There is a very slight, even the 1 micron variation can able to distract this result. But on the other way, the traditional one, you see accurately the thing.
Yeah, that's always reliable.
Yeah, that is the problem, Emma, unless we make
Thank
a
you,
good
Vinaya.
sensor
Thank
of different
you.
materials. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
But the products which you have developed, are they available in the market?
No, ma'am, not yet. Yeah, they're still in the research, but we are working towards it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just want to ask one question.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, sir. Yeah.
I just want to ask one question. Recently, the sensors has come to measure the diabetes in the market.
Yes.
And there are certain patches also which gives the medicines and all that. So my point is this, up to how long, up to how much extent it is correct? I don't think it is very much correct. There are variation somewhere even 40%, 50%.
Correct.
But point
I
is that
agree with
if
you,
it is
sir.
40, 50% variation, then what's the use of all these sensors?
Correct. So the thing is here. So no doctor, if you go to any doctor, they are not going to consider these results, whatever wearables is producing. But the thing, the continuous glucose monitoring, as you're telling, it has a life. The way it works is there is an enzyme on top of it. They use an enzyme, and then enzyme reacts with the glucose, and then it produces the electrons, and the electrons are basically amplified and the way the glucose is measured. Eventually, because of the body temperature, the enzymes start to degrade. So because of the enzymes degrade, so your results are going to drift. So that is the one way. And also because of biofouling, because the sensor is always inside, there is a chance that something can grow on top of the sensor. So, but like you said, that's why they say that, okay, you can use the CGM only for 7 days. If you want to use more than 7 days, definitely there is a 50% variation in the result. But if you're able to use within that 7 days, there is a variation for sure, but I think it will be like 10% or 15%. But that is acceptable, they will say. So whenever the doctor say 10 to 15% in the wearables is always there and it's acceptable. But we should not, use it for very long, or you change the sensor after that 7 days, then it will be okay. So it's for continuous. You should make sure that it is not completely overshooting. So 10% is always okay. Like it's not going to harm anything. Yeah.
So my final question is, shall we use it in our day-to-day use? What is your opinion about this?
If you are a diabetic, sir, like particularly when you become a diabetic in the first time, you don't know what is happening in your body. We don't know what we are eating. Suppose my food, what I am eating need to be controlled. I don't know. But if I have this one, somebody is telling me, see, you ate this one today, you ate a lot of rice, your glucose shoot up. So, and then you ate like a lot of proteins or fiber today, the glucose reduced. If you have somebody telling, so this app is telling you, so what you're eating is not good. Right? So in this way, it will make us bring the discipline in us, right? In this way, it is required. Like once you become disciplined, once you are on a medicine, then you can take away. But the thing is, when somebody is diabetic in the initially and somebody is traveling and somebody is in stress, they don't know what's happening. It's always better to measure once in a while, I would say. Not every day, but once in a 3 months, 6 months. You put it for a week, you understand how your body is going and what you're eating and everything.
Yeah, I think, I guess there are no more questions. I think I have a final last question to be asked. Dr. Vinay,
yes, sir.
I think something related you were telling about this, the trapping the charges.
Correct, sir. Yeah.
In the pyroelectric crystal.
Yeah.
Making use of some the whites and all that. You are telling that both positive and negative ions will be trapped within the charge. See, how is it? Because you basically require a charge separate, right?
Correct, sir. Yeah.
Because
it happens.
We are all chemists, most of us, so that way we don't follow exactly that particular mechanism.
Correct.
So when you say that kind of charges are within the whites.
Of course. Yeah. So, the way it happens is basically it is something called as mirror charge concept. Suppose I have a positive charges here, and I bring one metal close to it. So I just have a positive charge. I bring a metal close to it. I'm not doing anything. I'm just bringing a metal. So whatever the positive charges are here, the negative charges are going to build up on top of this. So I just put a one dielectric, I have a positive charges, I bring another one. It's called, it forms like a capacitor.
Okay.
So you don't need any separator, like eventually, because the voltages are there, as they're like hundreds of volts actually. They're not like 1 volt or 2 volts, even tens of volts or hundreds of volts. Because of such, I don't need to bring very close also. With even few millimeter distance, there is a mirror charge formation. In this way, the dipole is forming because I'm forming both positive and negative.
I think with that, let us close this thing. One second, I now would like to, on behalf of ISAS, Dr. Vinay, you have done a very nice presentation. So our Honorable President of ISAS to present to you is certificate of excellence. So that we are doing, I think I did not inform you earlier. So for this kind of these webinars, whom we invite as a subject experts, after the talk, it is our convention to give this kind of certificate of excellence. So considering your good lecture, so ISAS is pleased to award this. I request our Honorable President of ISAS to virtually hand over. Before that, I will just display this and read out the this one.
I will stop this one, sir. So.
Yeah, that you can stop this.
Thanks.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'll just read out and yeah.
It's not It's not visible.
Sir, please open the file.
List is visible, sir, but not certificate, sir.
Certificate is not visible.
Certificate is not visible?
Oh,
one second. How come it is not visible? Some people are making noise, I think. Please mute yourself. All those. Christopher J, I think you need to mute. Yeah. Just have to go for sharing this. Once again, I'll try. Entire screen of this share. Is it visible now?
Yeah. You can talk.
Now it is displayed, sir.
Yes. Yeah. So in recognition of the excellence in research into the exceptional, relevant and useful technologies, ISAS is happy to confer this certificate of excellence and relevance to Dr. Vinay Kumar, student professor at BITS Pilani at Goa campus, for an insightful talk titled Cross-Disciplinary Research in Sensor Technologies, Piezo electrets and Printed Circuits on this 8th November 2025. So during this talk, Dr. Vinay Kumar has shared his immense insight, expertise and enriched knowledge on the subject sensor technologies. The talk delivered in this webinar series 2025, organized by the ISAS in association with ISAS Belagavi chapter and Rani Channamma University Belagavi, has synergized immensely with the objectives of ISAS in promoting science and technology. So may I request our Honorable Vice President to hand over virtually this certificate.
Dr. Vinay.
Thank you, sir.
And it was highly explained, very well explained, and it was really excellent. And I think cross-disciplinary researches are really so thank you very much. As a mark of appreciation, please accept.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I think we are at the last phase. I now request Dr. S.K. Rajappa, who is a treasurer of our ISAS Belagavi chapter, to propose vote of thanks. Dr. Rajappa?
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
So, good evening, everyone. Respected all the dignitaries and the participants. It's my privilege to propose the vote of thanks for all the participants. So first, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Dr. Vinay Kumar for presenting a very nice informative talk on cross-disciplinary research in sensor technologies, Piezo electrets and printing electronics. Once again, I thank you, sir. I extend my gratitude to Dr. Raghav Saran, National President, ISAS Headquarter, and Dr. P.V. Joseph, Chairman, Webinar Series, for your support to organize the present event. Thank you once again, sir. I thank to Professor Manjana J, Chairman, Department of Chemistry, Rani Channamma University, Belagavi, and Chairman, ISAS Belagavi Chapter, for the nice arrangement of this webinar. I thank Surya Narayana sir, Nilima Rajurkar, Neeta Thakur, Professor A.N. Garag, Christopher, Jairaj sir, Vijay Lakshmi, so for your active participation. I thank to Dr. D.S. Prasanna, Secretary, ISAS, Belagavi Chapter, for your kind cooperation to organize the today webinar. I thank special invitees of executive members and office bearers of ISAS. I extend my sincere thanks to all the faculty members of Department of Chemistry, Rani Channamma University, Belagavi. I thank all the participants for your active involvement in this webinar. Lastly, I thank you one and all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me also thank
you.
S.V. Raman ji, Raman, who has that link with the YouTube. Today's the talk was live streamed in the YouTube.
Thank you.
Thank you one and all.
Okay,
Thank you,
Dr.
sir.
Vinaya,
Thank you
it
so
was
much.
really excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Nice meeting you.
Thank you, sir. Manjana sir. Thank you. Yeah,
Manjana,
thank you very much.
you have
Thank
called
you, sir.
him
Thank
also.
you.
Dr. Vinaya also you are calling.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
In that conference you are calling Dr. Vinaya.
Yeah, of course. Vinay will come. He was
I will
my
come.
student, MTech student.
Okay.
Correct.
He did the MTech with me
Good,
at
very